Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Before we start, can I firstly ensure that everyone's in the right place as we're here today to talk about what it might take to be really great at something, whatever you aspire to be great at. So if you don't aspire to be great at anything, or you're not even curious, you may just potentially be in the wrong place. But assuming you're not, logistics-wise, the aim, with a bit of a nod to TED Talk timings, is to share some thoughts and perspectives with you for around 20 minutes or so, which I hope is okay and in line with expectations. But before we start, let me briefly introduce myself. So I'm David, or Dave Martin, as most people know me. For over 3.5 decades, I worked in small and large business environments, latterly running high-performance teams in the tech sector. I've also run my own business for a little while, but now I coach new and aspiring leaders, helping them to become the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be, whatever that means for them. Now, I have to assume that the reason you're here today, the reason that you're committing your time to listening to me is because you don't want to be simply good at something. You want to be great at it, and you're curious enough to want to know if I can impart some knowledge that can help. Now, I don't know what great looks like for you. And you know what? I don't actually care because, perhaps you want to change the world in some way, or you want to be remembered for something truly amazing, or maybe you want to be an exceptional leader and an inspiration to thousands, or you simply want to have more time to be a great dad or mum, wife, or husband. Now, it's not that I'm not interested, it's that it simply doesn't matter to me. And the reason is that whatever great is for you, the odds are that you'll succeed anyway because that's who you are. That's why you're curious enough to invest your precious time this morning. So the reason I suspect that you're really here today isn't because you want to be great at something. It's more likely because you want to be great at something on the hurry up. So let's consider for a moment how professionals get better at what they do. How do they get great? There are generally two accepted views about this. One is the traditional view that you go to college, you study, you practice, you learn, and you graduate. And then you go out into the world and you make your way on your own. That's how doctors do it. Lawyers and scientists do just the same. And that's how most professionals do it, right? But the contrasting view originates largely from the field of sport. And that view is that you're never actually done. Everyone can always improve, and everyone needs a coach to help them. The greatest in the world still need a coach? That's an interesting assertion, isn't it? Well, Bill Gates, who I'm sure we can all agree was a fairly successful chap, famously said that that's everyone needs a coach. Now, that may or may not be literal truth, but I'm sure we get his point. Now, we all probably have a sense of what a coach does in a sporting context and the value that they bring, but a coach in a business context, maybe we do and maybe we don't. And you may be listening to this and thinking, how can this guy possibly know what I need to be great? He knows nothing about medicine, about quantum cryptography, generative AI, or complex civil engineering, teaching, or simply being an awesome parent to a 2-year-old child whilst working a 50-hour week. And you know what? You'd be absolutely right. I don't. But here's the thing, I don't need to be, and I don't come here today professing to be an expert in any of those things. Because look, whether you're in broad agreement with Bill Gates or not, it's generally accepted that for most people, making progress in isolation is way harder than doing it with support, motivation, and accountability. And at its simplest, most pure level, that's what a good coach will do. A good coach will help you to move from good to great on the hurry up. So let's take a step back just for a moment at this point. Empirical research on who the best question askers in the world, bar none, are, leads us to 4-year-old girls, which actually isn't all that surprising to anyone like me who's ever had one. 4-year-old girls ask in excess of 300 questions a day, apparently. And generally speaking, kids in the 2 to 4-year-old age bracket generally ask on average of 40,000 questions during that time. And they do that because they're inherently curious. And that's actually just about the first thing a good coach will bring to any coaching relationship. A coach needs to be curious because it allows them to deeply understand the people that they're working with, to explore diverse perspectives, ask insightful questions, and create a supportive environment that encourages self-discovery and growth. A curious coach creates a safe space for clients to openly share their perspectives without fear or judgment, fostering a more trusting relationship. And by asking probing questions stemming from genuine curiosity, a coach can guide clients to self-reflect and uncover their own insights. Curiosity also allows a coach to identify areas where clients can develop and challenge themselves to reach new potential. Now, we all have values and beliefs. Values and beliefs fundamentally shape who we are. And it's through this inherent inquisitive curiosity that a good coach will help you to uncover precisely what matters to you and what it is that motivates and drives you to be great, perhaps. Values and beliefs are crucial because they act as our guiding compass, influencing our decision making, communication style, and overall outlook and philosophy. Sometimes they can hold us back too, though, and it's equally important and vital to understand that. Understanding your unique values and beliefs will help you and your coach in ensuring alignment with your goals. If you're going to be truly great and not just good, your aims and your mission will be aligned with your values and your beliefs. Now, you might be familiar with the ancient Japanese concept of ikigai, which, whilst there is no direct English translation, is generally accepted to mean a reason for being or life purpose. It's a philosophical construct that encourages people to discover what they're passionate about, what they're good at, and how they can contribute to the world. Exploring and understanding your values and beliefs can help you to answer these fundamental questions, and as a consequence, ensure that they are in alignment with your vision and mission. Important to note, though, that exploring Ikigai does not always result in an aha moment, although it can. Often it simply confirms that the road that we are currently traveling is in alignment with where we need to be at that precise point in time. However, in those moments where the aha moment does reveal itself, the effect can be most powerful, profound, and magical. So look, this is all great philosophical stuff, but I suspect you may want to get to some of the specifics of why it is that Bill Gates believes everyone needs a coach. So let's explore for a few minutes some fairly typical life scenarios. Let's consider then that you want to be great and something amazing has just landed for you. That's fabulous, obviously, right? The least likely point in time in someone's life or career that they need some developmental support. Maybe, maybe not. Change, even for the better, can be exciting and challenging, terrifying, and also disorientating. A new job, promotion, career change, your first child, grandchild, or whatever. These are all normally moments of immense happiness. But precisely because change is disorientating, it can still hold you back from the full potential that you know that you're capable of. A decision in one area of your life can often cause ripples in others. That new job or promotion, for instance, could affect your health, your relationships, where you live, and how you spend your free time. Transitions often challenge us to re-examine our sense of who we are or the capabilities that we've taken for granted. It can be painful to let go of what you know, especially if you feel that you should be incredibly happy, but instead you feel uncertain. Working with the right coach can help you to examine the constructs and inner worlds that you've created in the past and apply these to your new situation to ensure that this awesome occurrence doesn't create a space in which your greatness is stymied. Something truly terrible has just happened. Okay, that's maybe a little more obvious. It's hard to see greatness, see your full potential when something really terrible has just happened. Everyone could do with a little help and support in situations like this. Whether you've been made redundant, your business is struggling massively, or your best customer just walked away, most of us want to avoid grief at all costs. We naturally attempt to force our way through these times, only to end up living with an undercurrent of resentment or even despair. Taking the time to come to terms with traumatic change will lessen the amount of time we spend in despair. A good coach will provide a supporting and safe place for you to come to terms with your new reality. Whatever you're seeking to dismantle, the structures of a professional coach can help you to learn from your struggle, to expand and to move forward, to put you back on track with renewed self-belief and confidence on your mission to greatness. And I know because I've worked with a number of people in precisely just this position. Now, Henry Ford once said that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are probably right. So the question is, do you think you can or do you think you can't? Do you really believe that you can be great or not? It's a fundamental question, a fundamental belief. Perhaps you keep trying to improve your situation, but nothing seems to be working. To achieve the results that you want, you will need to change your attitudes or those underlying beliefs. The beginning of a new coaching relationship is an ideal time to strip back accumulated layers of identity. Fear of failing is the biggest single killer of plans and ideas. More than a lack of knowledge or skill, more than a lack of a clear strategy or action plan, the biggest single obstacle in the way of progress is the paralysis caused by the fear of failing. Few people are willing to knowingly risk failure, yet many of us use it as a reason to fail to take any action. But a good coach will help you to turn even failing to take action into a rich learning opportunity. When you feel stuck in a loop, the right coach will help you dissolve self-limiting patterns and beliefs, break out of self-defeating assumptions, and reframe the competing drives which are holding you stuck. We all need people who give us feedback. That's how we improved. That's another quote attributed to Bill Gates. Perhaps there's something in your life that you desperately want, that greatness in your life, whatever that actually means for you. But you're frozen by the enormity and implications of making such a monumental change. You may feel like you're clinging to the edge of a cliff where it feels almost impossible to either keep hold or leap off. Often self-limiting behaviors show up strongest just when you need the courage to take risks for the sake of change. A great coach can work with you to stay on track and overcome actions that sabotage your desires, plans, and dreams. They'll support you through the fear, resistance, and panic that can arise when you're creating something exciting and new. A good coach can help you believe in yourself again just when you thought that you couldn't. So Oprah Winfrey, not someone that you might immediately associate with a lack of self-confidence, once explained how coaching helps you to stop the crazy mind chatter in your head that tells you all the time that you're not good enough. So maybe you too see yourself as blocked, at a crossroads or out of options. You may feel defeated, resigned, or confused. And your point of view is often the main contributing factor to that blocked, stuck, or stalled way that you're feeling. It's not exactly the road to greatness, is it? But learning how to identify and dissolve the painful beliefs that are running in the background can move you out of helplessness and clear up a lot of confusion. A good coach will work with you to get clear about what fulfillment would be for you. In the big picture, fulfillment is about living a life that is valued, purposeful, and alive. And balance is about choosing a life that is aligned with a compelling vision. That's your own personal version of greatness. Now, perhaps you've just walked out on a really crappy job, or you've had to let go of a really talented but ultimately toxic work colleague. Congratulations. You may not have figured out what's next, but letting go of empty bragging rights and defining what you don't want or what's holding you back is your own very personal step, or first step indeed, to greatness. An expert coach will lead the discovery process and support you in reorganizing around a larger sense of self as you prepare for whatever comes next. Because a coach is on your side in this exploration, they can ask the questions that break through your old defenses. When you learn to be curious about your life, you'll become more willing to look in the dark places and take on challenges that once seemed terrifying. If these are typical situations where you might turn to a coach, let's start to wrap up by thinking about where it wouldn't also be appropriate to engage a coach, where it wouldn't be right to engage somebody with some professional help. To answer that, we could pose the question: coaching, counseling, and mentoring. What exactly is the difference? So that fundamentally, coaching is a future-driven discipline that empowers you, that's you and not your coach, to bridge the gap between where you are today and where you want to be by taking action and being accountable. A good coach will help you to see the possibilities for the future you, that greatness that you're aiming for, and help you build a clear path to get there. Coaching, however, differs from mentoring in as much as coaching doesn't offer the advice and guidance that is at the heart of the relationship between a more experienced mentor and a less experienced client, whilst counseling is much more driven by a rear mirror view of the world, helping the client to unpick and understand how they got to be where they find themselves today. So look, starting to wrap up now. I hope that's been useful and insightful, 15, 20 minutes or so. But let me leave you with a final thought from the inimitable Mr. Ted Lasso, who reminds us that taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. So look, please feel free to connect with me at any point. There's more detail on my website, davidmartincoaching.net, or drop me an email to dave@davidmartincoaching.net, or you can find me on most of the usual social media platforms. Finally, thanks again. Thanks so much for joining the conversation today, and good luck with your own journey to greatness. I wish you the very best.